This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Now, here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum, Mike Basil, and Tanya Lead.
Welcome to IA Forward. Shane, do you know what we're talking about today?
Talking about vanilla ice.
No, we are not talking about vanilla ice. We're talking about swag. And apparently, Mike Basil thinks that vanilla ice is the epitome of great swag.
Well, I mean, he had
swag. I may
swag.
have dated myself a little there.
He had swag. You got to admit that. So if we're going to talk about swag, we got to talk about vanilla ice.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, one of the things that made me think about this topic and sharing this topic is we've had our Integra Partner Network conference recently. I've attended a conference about 2 weeks ago with the Cute Boy, and that was a technology fiber conference looking at some award season, awards people are receiving. And I've seen some really great things. And I've also seen some swag that's just really made me think, this is how you choose to represent your organization as it went into the garbage can.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be tough for me because, I was
thinking the same thing for me.
I'm probably like, okay, well, swag, so let's define this so that people understand, what are we talking about? Let's maybe go through the Tanya definition of swag so that we can have some type of level set on this topic.
Sure. And just to clarify, I am not the person on this call that started using the word swag. I am the person that refers to these as promotional items or tchotchkes or giveaways. Shane Tatum is the one that told me that in East Texas, it is called swag. So I'm talking about things like this and my moleskin, my super fabulous Integra leather notepad, all of these things.
Yeah. The previous one, what did you call that?
What do you mean?
The second thing you held up. What did you call that?
A pin?
Oh, third. Sorry.
A moleskin?
Moleskin.
Moleskin?
Yeah.
You guys were talking about that earlier. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. The moleskin.
Let me see if I can hold it notebook right there. Yeah. It's a notebook. Yeah.
Notebook.
It's a brand of.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's a notebook. That's right.
It's a brand.
It's a brand.
It's a brand. And it's kind of like Kleenex, right? Like moleskin has become the brand that's synonymous with that type of notebook.
Well, it's not because I've never heard of it, but I understand I understand the direction it's going.
It hasn't made it to Buffalo yet, for sure. But y'all still call Coke pop. So, we're working.
100%.
We're working on you. We're working.
Or soda. What's a soda?
Or soda. Soda's more Midwest.
Which, by the way, is one of the things I'm going to talk about today.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So swag, I don't know. I guess that's where, that came out of my mouth way back, but, I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with swag / promotional items. Most of it, either you can't afford or you have to go so cheap that it doesn't work, which then it's like, then it tarnishes your brand because it didn't work. And that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Like the pen that doesn't work. Right. I think Tanya has one for display purposes for our YouTube viewers. It's the old Javelin style pen. That's what they call it, the Javelin. The Javelin style pen is super cheap. This is why we bought them, because we said we need to have some pens in our, incredible intelligence way, way back. We must have pens branded Integra. So let's see how many pens. And when you look at the cost of pens, it's mortifying. Like, it's absolutely like, holy cow, that's ridiculous. And so we went with the cheap pen, to which every other pen, Javelin brand, the Javelin style, every other pen basically doesn't work. Like, it's got ink in it. You can break it apart. It has ink in it, but it's like the ink is dried on you. Like, it doesn't work. Like, you go, and so you get mad, you look at the pen. Oh, that's Integra. Brand tarnishing swag.
Yes.
Throw it in the garbage.
Yes.
That's right.
Can we maybe start at the beginning and talk about where people might be displaying or using swag? I think that would be a good spot for us to start. Like, is this something that we just have on the counter, for a counter at the office? Are people taking these things with them? If so, where? Just what is the place of these particular items? I want to call them something else other than swag or all the other names you use, but I'm going to keep that to myself.
No, go ahead and share.
No, it's junk. That's the word I had in mind.
That is extremely valid. That is extremely valid.
We're going to offend
junk.
every marketer on the planet today. But yes, junk is another good word.
But I get it, because when this stuff comes out, when we're at an event and I see this stuff come out, people are like piranhas. I mean, They are just engulfing tables that have this type of stuff on it. So I understand. It's just not for me.
Yeah. So I'll start here, and then y'all can chime in, and Tanya can add her expertise. I think this is sort of a follower thing for me. Where agents go wrong here is, I need something because everybody else has something, so I'm going to do it and I'm going to invest. Oh, but I don't really have enough money to invest well, so I'm going to invest what I can, and I'm going to go with something, and then it ends up being something cheap or junk. It doesn't work, and it actually has the opposite effect for your brand. And that's what either trade show, they're going to be at a trade show, so they got to have something to hand out because everybody has something to hand out, or they want something to leave behind if they're prospecting, right? Commercial lines, prospecting out in the field. If they're trying to build referral sources, and they're working with their local real estate agents or mortgage brokers, and they want something, right? Leave behind, sells promotional materials. All of that I label under swag. Like, all of that goes into my swag bucket. Stuff that we just leave behind so that people remember us, and maybe somewhere in there we create some brand awareness and become top of mind.
Okay, but when does that happen? Like, how many times have you gone to a fair or a parade or something? People are handing something out as they go by, and it finds the very first receptacle you pass afterwards.
Yeah, I don't think it's the fair to really make this, talk about supper and dinner, the fair, right? The county fair. So I'm thinking, like, I'm going to call on a referral partnership. I'm trying to prospect a referral partnership. I think that's where this becomes more prevalent. Or I'm going to actually rent or buy a trade show booth or whatever at the local realtors association's monthly luncheon, and I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna have a booth, and I'm gonna hand out my my stuff, right? I'm promoting my business. I don't necessarily see it as the handouts as people are walking by, the random people. I see it as
Right.
target audience
Right.
that you would use this for.
But I do want to go back to something that Mike said, talking about at the fair. Mike's from Buffalo, New York. It does not get hot there. Down in Louisiana, in Texas, Mississippi, Arkansas, Florida, it gets really hot. And we have lots of fairs and festivals. So it may be a piece of swag that someone's not keeping for forever. And yes, it ends up in the garbage can. But I am a real believer in events like that and ordering the fans that are on popsicle sticks. They run somewhere around $1.27 a piece. You have them printed in one color, on a color, or a two color of your logo, and you've got thousands of people walking around with your logo. It's 107 degrees outside. They are on blacktop, wandering around and seeing thousands of your logos being fanned about is a really fantastic 2 or 3 day brand awareness item. Yes, does it end up in the trash at the end of the day? But it gave a brand awareness effect that was much longer lasting than this, that when it got home, it didn't work.
I like that. That's a really good example. I like that because let's be honest, nobody is like, I just got my renewal. My insurance is going up 27%. I'm pretty sure I have a koozie somewhere from 3 years ago that has the logo of another insurance agency on it. Let me go get that.
Right.
Yeah. So this is real life for us here in East Texas. Like we sponsor and have sponsored for a few years at our, it's called the Forest Festival, which is kind of a version of a fair. We do have a county fair, but in the spring, but we have a Forest Festival in September every year here locally. And we sponsor the cheer and dance competition where a lot of the schools, several schools across multiple counties come into this competition that's attached to and a part of the Forest Festival. And we did the fan thing. So we did the kind of throwaway version.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided after kind of looking at it that we were going to kind of go up a notch and see if we
Please
could
tell me with the pom-poms.
It was not the pom-poms. It was a little foldable. It
Mm-hmm.
folds up into about the size of a, as far as around, like the size of a softball in circular, it folds up. Yeah. There you go. And when it unfolds, you get this fan, right? It's an Integra branded fan. And it's not throwaway material. It's like the material that you put up the sunshades on your car dash to keep the in the windshield to keep your car cool. It's like that material folds up really, really easily. And it is a incredible view to look up and see 2,000 to 3,000 people sitting in in bleachers in September, middle of September, which everybody in Texas knows is the beginning of second summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not cooling off yet in September in East Texas. And you just have these fans blowing, not blowing, but people are fanning themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we give them away to everybody coming into the cheer and dance competition. Now, it's more expensive than the popsicle stick version.
Mm-hmm.
That's the throwaway version, right? We started kind of in that realm. And then we decided, you know what? And this is kind of my thing on swag. Anything worth doing needs to be done well. Which is kind of back to the cheap stuff, like stuff that doesn't work. If you can't do it well, don't do it. Is kind of my view on things, right? Which marketers out there are like, oh gosh, Shane, you got to do something, right? Well, not really. Like there's other ways, right? There's other ways to do things. I think what we do is we do things cheaply, to Mike's point. We don't think it through. It ends up actually hurting our brand instead of, if you're going to do it really, really well so that it actually enhances your brand.
So what about the difference, or is there a difference? Is one better than the other? Sponsoring an event versus giving things away.
Well, this is another one of my areas of pet peeve. That is kind of like, the more you do, the more you get called on to do. Okay. Once you put yourself out there.
So let's
so-
table this one. Let's table this
Yep.
one and let's do an entire podcast on event marketing versus sponsorships versus buying tickets and tables. Let's do
Yeah,
a whole
that's fine.
episode about that, because that one's one of those that it can become a huge expense for agencies, and what is worth their time and their money, and kind of what is not, and what's a donation and what's actual marketing. So let's table that one, and we will put that on the podcast for next week. How's that?
Sounds good.
So let's talk about the good Integra pins now that we have talked about the crappy Integra pins enough. For our newer podcast listeners, this is our current pin that were, yes. There
Shane,
were
where's
a
yours?
limited number of special editions of this that were our tertiary teal color, but this is our primary one. And Shane, you
For
want to
those
tell
on
your
the
story?
audio version of our podcast,
Okay.
they're red.
They're red. They're
with a little-
pretty. They have
Yeah,
a
with a little
stylus on the end. They're
There you go.
a
you
red
go.
flat matte. They're very nice. They're not like crazy expensive, but they probably cost 1.5 times what the ones that don't work. And let me tell y'all my story about these pins that don't work. I don't know how they keep popping up, because every time somebody from Huntington brings them to an event, I throw the whole box away. And all I can figure is whoever is there comes back and takes the whole box out of the garbage, because they're like, why are you throwing them away? And I'm like, because they don't work. And they're like, well, maybe we can fix them. I'm like, you cannot fix these pins. And I'm like, throwing them away. And then I show up at the next event and there's another box of these white pins and I throw them away. And so I have no idea how many of these white pins that don't work exist at the office, but I may like put Julie on the hunt for them and see if she can find all of
There's a
them.
storage shed in back with about 100,000 of them.
In the attic, there's a big gigantic box, right? And they got put up there because we didn't want them out for that very purpose. But I have a suspicion that it's my brother, right? And he keeps going and grabbing those pins, and because he's just grabbing whatever's available and he's bringing them to whatever, the conference and so forth. So I'm throwing him under the bus. I'm throwing him under the bus.
Next time we're down there.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
But yes, Integra does have these really great pins that we procured during the Shane Tatum pin wars a few years ago.
Yeah. It's back. It's kind of like, again, it's this idea that anything that's worth doing is worth doing well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more to buy those pins over those old Javelin pins. But not like, I'm not talking about like, we're not going to top end stuff here. Right. I don't even know that I would say they're middle ground. Like they just work, right? They work
They're
well.
pretty.
And they're easily recognizable. And we didn't see a lot of those, and we kind of went that way. And the reason that we went with the stylist was we decided as a campaign one year, a few years ago, when we were really trying to hit our community relations launch, we decided to flood local restaurants with pins for their wait staff. to use. And our community relations director, Melissa Roberts, was tasked with basically just flooding the market. And we did. And we basically really put some dollars behind it. I think we probably distributed over the course of about 6 months, close to 10,000 pins. I mean,
I think it was more than that.
Think maybe more than that.
I think it was more like 20 or 30,000.
Okay.
We put a lot. There was a lot of pins.
We put a lot of pins into the marketplace, and it was just an idea that it was like, okay, will this work? Well, the one thing that I missed was that when we dropped off the pins at the restaurant, Melissa did it in a little small bucket, and at the bottom of that bucket, she put a little sticker with her name and her phone number, and said, "When you run out, call me." Well, I shouldn't say we. I did not understand the rapid pace of how fast the pins were going to go. I thought, you take 30 pins to a restaurant and they're going to have those pins forever. And they were calling in like 3 weeks. Hey, I need more pins. And so our pin pace became really, really fast. And I did not understand that, which is what caused us to actually spend way more than originally we intended. However, we got a lot of recognition for that.
Yes.
Our competitors started noticing it. There started to become a little bit of a squabble.
Was there a pin war?
There was a pin war. Because I told Shane it was going to happen, and he's like, we'll see how long it takes. It did take about 6 months.
So another local independent agency happened to write the insurance for 2 of the restaurants that we took our pins into, and they accepted our pins and they were using them. And I went to eat at one of these restaurants and noticed our pins were gone, and their pins were in our bucket.
Our logo bucket.
Our logo was still on the bucket, but their pins were in the bucket, and Melissa's name and number was in the bucket. And so what would happen is she would go in and she would take their pins out and put our pins in. And then a week or 2 later, someone from that agency would go in and take our pins out and put their pins in. And there became, therefore, a pin war in a couple of these eating establishments here locally. And it really became fun. And it really wasn't like, a mean-spirited thing. And I actually think both of our organizations got a lot of really cool recognition out of that, which was kind of interesting because, we're leaving the State Farm and Farmers and Allstate guys on the sidelines, and the independent agency system is winning. We're lifting each other up. And so that was pretty cool and pretty fun to see.
But the year of the pin war just so happened to be the year that we were chamber business partner of the year. So it was and that was a layer. Pins were a layer of other things we did, but it had a huge impact on the name recognition of Integra in our home base for our retail agency area. I do want to share this pin with you guys. So we have the Integra white pins that apparently Todd is bringing back and Mike is going to get rid of in his next trip. We have our pretty red pins that we use now that all of our customers get. And then we have this pin, which is a very, very nice black. It's got the Integra logo in silver. It's got a great grip to it. It's heavier. It is a wonderful, wonderful business pin. This is not the pin that everybody gets, right? This pin goes to our high-end commercial clients, I would think that Brian would use this. I don't know if he does or not, but when he's having contracts signed, I would think this would be the pen that he has in his hand that he hands over for contracts to be signed with. But we also have a really, really nice pen that is substantially more expensive than the red everyday pen, right? And people want these. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's scarcity, right? Or it's specialty. It's like it's layering your. I think the title of our podcast is, does your swag fit who you are, or something along those lines, right? And so, I think that's part of it. You want to put out cheap swag, you're going to be interpreted as being cheap insurance, right? Which nobody, or at least nobody that I really know, wants to be labeled that. You bring something of quality to the table. You're getting something, obviously a lot of e-signatures. So this is harder today than it used to be. But, if you go in and maybe make it a little bit of a practice in the commercial space or high net worth space, where you are going to have an opportunity to kind of make that client that's spending six figures a year with you in insurance premium, then you want to maybe make them feel a little more special, right?
Right.
And I think this is a great point that Tanya's bringing out. Like, I had forgotten that we do that, and it's really cool to kind of see how that layers within your own clients.
I have a few other pen options that I love that I think people have made.
What stuff do you have on your desk right now?
Oh, I gathered swag all over. So I actually have a swag table set up for this podcast, right? But
Mike's impressed that you have that much stuff on your desk. That's what he's in. That's where Mike's brain is, oh my gosh, how much stuff do you have on your desk?
I don't know where I'm at right now. This conversation is so far beyond me. Like, I can't, we're talking about pens that are going to show up on Pawn Stars. Like, I
have one of those. I only have one of those,
for
but I do have one, and I use them when I'm negotiating. I have a very specific reason for doing it. But the Geico pen, this is the first one they've started using for the independent agency world, and they say Geico for your agency. This is a gel pen that writes beautifully. It has a great feel to it. It's nice and heavy. Just companies that have embraced their brand. The Jewelers Mutual pen has little crystals in it. I saw this one recently. It's really different. There's a boutique hotel in East Texas in Nacogdoches called the Fredonia. And I swear that, like, one of the reasons that I love to stay there is I get to take one of their pens home. And it's kind of a faux Mont Blanc pen that it just makes me happy when I use it. The little silver, so finding a pen, finding something that is affordable, but you don't want the throwaway. You don't want to spend your money on the throwaway pen. We take a gallon baggie of pens to the Teen Challenge thrift store once or twice, 3 times a year, because we get so many pens that come in swag, or when we are at an event, or they get, sent to us in the mail, whatever. But we will either throw pens away, we will donate them, or if a school is doing a pen drive or a pencil drive for their students, right? So if you decide to do something like pens, make sure that there's some reason that someone would keep it. Along those lines, when I present this topic, sometimes if I'm speaking somewhere, I will call it by the Yeti. And the reason I call it that is I take a box or two of these plain water cups, to coffee cups, whatever, the fake Yetis, to the thrift store 2 or 3 times a year. I mean, the amount of these that come through my household is stupid. I've never seen a Yeti at a thrift store. And I go to 2 to 3 thrift stores a week. There is a vendor that Daniel has that's called A&I. And they send me a Yeti. They send him, and then I use them a Yeti a year, right? And they always have a different top owner. These stay with me. Now, did they give them to every single client on the planet? No. You know,
Yeah.
but to me, I would rather have 50 really great items that a person is going to keep and use than have 2,000 of something that ends up at the thrift store or gets thrown away.
Well, and I think the why behind that is really important, right? Like you can spend the same amount of money in either of those scenarios.
Right.
However, it's like, what is the impact? Like, is the impact, which way is the impact going to be better? And which matches who you are as a brand? And in most of our independent agencies cases, that brand is generally a reflection of the agency owner, the founder. And so you want that to match. I had a company rep, and in this, so, this doesn't have to be pin specific, doesn't have to be, it's any type of thing. Right. And what just popped into my brain is I have, there's this company rep who loves knives. He's a knife collector. Right. And it's just something he does. And, he's a rep down in the Texas area. And, having a pocket knife is cultural in our area. Pretty normal to have a pocket knife. And he, at a trade show that I was at, he pulled me aside, to Tanya's point, and he reached underneath the table at the trade show and he said, "Hey, I've got something for you." And it was a pocket knife. Now, he didn't have it out on the table. He had it below the table. He pulled it out. It was special to him. He knows I'm from East Texas. And while I'm not a knife collector, I'm not someone that, is going to, do something special with. I do have pocket knife. It's pretty normal for me every day. And he wanted me to know, "Hey, I got this for you." Right. I have something. And he had I think he had 10 for the whole trade show. It was company branded, but it was a little higher end thing. And it matched both the company and who he was as a person and in his personality. And he was connecting with people that were in his circle, right? I mean, that's who I am. And so it was long lasting. Like, I'm going to remember that. I have no idea who handed me junk.
I'm going to remember that because somebody pulled a knife on you.
Oh, he didn't pull a knife. He gave me a pocket knife. I
don't know if this is a northeast versus south thing. When someone tells me I got something for you, goes up under the table and pulls a knife out, I don't know what reaction you're going to get. The knife
wasn't open. It wasn't like, it was a pocket knife that anyway. I know who not to ask, by the way, Tanya. Right. Does anybody have a knife? We know we're not asking.
It's not going to be Mike. Right.
It's not going to be Mike. Hey, I've got to open something. Mike, can you hand me your knife out of your pocket? No, he can't.
Yeah, that would be a car key.
No.
Those don't really exist anymore anywhere. So now you got nothing.
Yeah. But it was special. Yeah. Like he made it special, wanted me to know. And it was really connected to matching the brand.
Little Dog Marketing, who does social media for independent insurance agents. They do such a great job with that. I love anytime they're at a trade show, they're always giving away the little dog waste bag holders that has their logo on it. I have had one of theirs for like 4 years and it finally broke recently. But I have kept up with a pizza swag for 4 years because it was specifically something that represented their brand that was very, very useful. In addition to that, they always do the little baked dog biscuits that say I Heart Insurance. And so when I got home from that particular event, I actually took a picture of Mary Bell eating the I Heart Insurance doggy bone and sent it to them, and they were able to use that in some of their marketing. And so finding something that connects with your brand like they did is really fantastic. This is something that Safeco did about 5 years ago. And they were the first company that I ever saw do this from an insurance perspective. So it was you could plug it in and then you had 3 different kinds of chargers. And I think, and it was a high-end cable, and Safeco did a really great job of that. I got a new one recently while we were at a conference that is the same thing, but it is a higher end version of it, was accompanied by ATX. At the same conference, another company that I won't use because I don't know, did the same thing, except they put them on a keychain. And it was like this really icky, cheap version of this multi-use charger cord. Now, I'm sure these weren't extremely cheap, but I am never going to use a keychain that's got 3 different chargers on it. Like, this is not something that's useful, but it was cheaper. But I'm sure going to keep this one from ATX and this one from Safeco because I use them in every room of my house, right? So the people that did this little dangly, icky one thought they were doing something really good, but they did something really cheap. And I have no desire to ever buy from this organization because if this is how they chose to represent their brand, it's probably not for me.
I do, like, all kidding aside, I do think there is some validity to being specific or targeted with it.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the pens. Obviously, everyone knows I'm not into the pens.
Right.
By the way, I did Google obsession with pens. So if you want to talk later, I can tell you what the condition you have is and what it entails.
Okay.
But in a past episode, maybe more than one, we've talked about finding your people, finding like a group of people that have common interests to you,
yes.
Tennis, golf, whatever it is. If you go that direction, I think there's some viability to it. If you're into tennis and you're going to
yes.
a tennis club and you get your logo on a tennis ball, and
right?
You hand those out. I mean, I think you're accomplishing something.
Mm-hmm.
Or you golf balls, you put your logo on the golf ball.
Put your logo on good golf balls, though. Do not put your logo on crappy golf balls.
Yeah, the glow in the dark ones. Yeah.
So, or you can also go down the deal of getting a stamp
mm-hmm.
for a golf ball stamp of your logo, right? You can also go down that way. People can put the stamp and I'm using the Integra ball. Yeah, that's my Integra ball.
Right.
But it's on their good golf balls,
yes.
right? So you don't have to buy the golf balls, you buy the stamp.
Right.
So these things like that you can kind of be creative with.
Yes.
Obviously the theme of all this is there's really crappy stuff and there's really good stuff.
Right.
And as an agency owner, I do want our folks to understand that this can be a trap. Like you have to don't just like turn this over to whoever and say, yeah, whatever. Right. Like you have to kind of be involved in this and you need to somewhat make sure, to Tanya's point, that it matches who you are. Mm-hmm. And if it's not matching who you are and it's not connecting to your audience, just like the really icky keychain charger thing, like somebody just in the marketing department for that company is just like, what can we do? Oh, this looks cool. Oh, it's within budget. Click, buy 100 of them. And there's no real thought being put into it. There's no intentionality. And I think that's where agency owners go wrong, is that they don't put this intentional nature towards this promotional stuff. They just like, we need something, get it. And then they don't really think about that it could actually do damage to your brand.
So I have a sticky note on my desk right here that actually has, and I know
You
I'm
have a
not supposed to
sticky
have,
note?
I know. I'm
Oh.
like, am I still going to have a job? But I've had the same sticky note for like 7 years. So I haven't gone through more. But I mean, like, I know, like, I have a note that tells me what color our red is. Like, it is C8102E, right? I know what color Integra brown is. So when I go to order something and they'll tell me like what color, and that way I'm not saying, oh, no, it's just red. Well, there are thousands of reds, right? So if you're able to tell your swag person, or if you're ordering swag online, if you have someone local that you use, know what color your logos are. Like, that's just a super simple, easy thing to do.
Yeah, this part of the conversation is so far beyond me. Like, there's 3 versions of every color. There's the color in dark, and the color in light. This drives my wife crazy. She says she'll come up with some nonsensical, or to me, nonsensical word about, hey, that thing over there is, whatever color. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Light or dark, of what color? I will find it. So to that point, this is not something you should just get into and, yeah, I got it. I'll figure it out. I got this, and I'll put it together in about 15 minutes. This does require some thought and getting it all right, and then going after whatever you're going to try to get after.
Like,
I
this
think
one
it goes
is,
down the line
yeah.
of
like
you
Foremost
get what you pay for.
has the
right?
blue,
Like,
right? And there's the white on their blue. That's one of my favorites from this year. It's the Foremost that has the
Yeah.
4, I travel with
get
this.
some, to Mike's point, get some help, like, get some professional help, pay for the help. I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tanya, I think this is right. Like, once you have your style guide, like, you can plug that into Canva. And if you're using Canva, like our people that are using Canva, like, they know automatically these are the colors.
Yes.
And these are the real color, like by the, what do y'all call that in the marketer's world? The number,
The hex number.
the hex number
Yes.
that relates to that color.
Mhm.
And you will
Fonts
never
too.
get fonts. You will
Mhm.
never get it wrong to reproduce it, because we do a lot of digital stuff, and a lot of digital stuff gets kind of handed down to who's ever available within an agency. And, you just need some guardrails, some buffers. And, it's really cool that the technology has reached a point where you can just plug the numbers in, right? You can say, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. And boom, the creation, goes with the right colors.
Yes.
So let me ask this. I know we're starting to get long here, but in your opinions, does color matter in terms of what colors you decide to use? Because here's why I asked that question. For me, and it's just me, but if I go somewhere, if I go by a business and I see that their logo is in some loud neon color, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out.
I think it's fair. Absolutely. It matters. I'm going to pick on the vaping industry for a minute. Like, I don't understand why the vaping industry, why every store has to be neoned out and look like if you want to convince me to become a vapor, you got to build your stores better. Like, you got to give me a bit more attractive thing.
But you're not their target demographic.
I know I'm not their target demographic. I get it. I'm just saying, like, I'm just picking on that part of that part of the world. If you want to represent yourself as cheap, non-standard insurance, maybe you want to neon yourself up. But if you want to represent yourself as, risk manager, risk advisor. I think Mike likes that one, risk advisor or agent advisor. Then you need to be representing, your colors need to represent that professionalism. And I think it absolutely matters.
Absolutely. Run that. I mean, you can Google that. You can run that on any AI program that you're using, but Google it. Like, there's a reason that people use blues for anything to do with financial. Blue is calming. It is a trustworthy color. There's a reason that Burger King and McDonald's use red and yellow. They make you hungry. They make you anxious. They make you want to eat. They make you want to move. So you go in their store, you get something to eat, and you leave, right? And so all of these different colors have meanings, and they create feelings. And the company that I went and stole this off the Cute Boy's desk. This is an award that he received. It was the Brightspeed Epic Award, right? That he won. And
it's bright yellow.
It is bright yellow. Bright yellow. They use bright yellow and bright orange. Their marketing people had this brilliant idea of when they started the company, that they were going to have this big giant mascot who was dressed in blue and green plaid. Now, their logo is yellow and orange, and their swag is yellow and orange, but they have this random guy in dark blue and green plaid, and no one ever identified their mascot with their logo and their product. And they spent thousands of dollars on things that had this guy on there, and I can't even remember his name, but I mentioned it to the Cute Boy when he first went to work for them. I'm like, that makes no sense. That's never going to work. And it didn't make sense, and it didn't work. And so they came back out and they created a mascot that were actually their colors, and people know what it is, right? But I brought this one in as an award for an employee, and he has kept his. They only did the Yeti one time because they decided they were too expensive. And so then they went to a cheaper cup for the oaks after that. And people will see Daniel with his, and they're like, dude, that's not fair. You got a Yeti. Like, I threw mine away. Mm. And I bring it up just because you would be so shocked how many people will use your swag if it's just a bit higher level, right? Like, this is a company called Calix. They gave away actual real moleskin notebooks, which I use, which Shane uses. Mike didn't know what it was, bless his heart. But like, it's a real moleskin notebook. Steadily this year at our conference, which is landlord insurance, right? They did a real moleskin. This is my June.
Is someone out there picking off moles to make these? Like, what is the... What does that even mean?
It's their brand.
No,
I don't actually, I've never
just the brand.
It's
the name.
It's the name brand,
the...
right? And so they're, I think pretty much every single insurance carrier at our conference had notebooks of some kind. But this is the only one that I picked up and used, was the one from Steadily. And now their logo is going to be on my desk in front of my face for the next 5 months, right?
Yeah.
Make the investment in your brand and in your products if you want people to have a lasting impression of you versus them going in the garbage. Seriously.
And if you can't afford to do that yet, then don't. Like, won't do it yet and make a cheap version of who you are, right? And I think that's the main thing that I want people to hear is it's okay not to be ready to spend those dollars. Like, don't get caught in the spending trap. Like, you got to do it because everybody else is doing it, but you're not ready. Like, that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to do that. Do it differently, right? It's you. Anyone can create especially in the world of AI, can create an infographic that you can either email out or leave behind if you're going physically in person to prospect. And that's good enough from that referral partnership development. And if you're not ready for swag, then don't go there yet. Wait until you can do it well.
I love this one. You can white label pretty much anything. This is a can. I live in Pensacola. This is a can of Pensacola, right? And so they took the name of our city and made a really fun swag piece. I actually went and talked with these people last weekend to find out how much it costs to white label a soda. And I mean, they're like $1.27 a piece to white label a soda. I mean, how cute would that be to give away to a client that comes in to visit? You can do that with water bottles. But I loved this concept. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't an expensive white label swag, but it was something that really stood out. Now, are they heavy? Will they take up space? Yes. But I mean, you could do this. I think they said like for 120 of them. Like you didn't have to order large numbers of cases. But
Yep.
I thought it was just such a unique idea. Take the time, find something unique. Like Mike said, something that's within your wheelhouse, right? Something that's within your world. You know, if you are a high school football fan, then invest in the pom-poms. Give them out at games. If you are, a basketball fan, then invest in the little basketball for the cheerleaders to throw into the stands. Find what works for you and represents you and make that investment, right? It doesn't have to be things that are super expensive. I didn't think $1.27 for a can of Pensacola was that big of an investment, but it was something super unique.
I think what's hard for people is just measuring brand, right? And I've had these conversations with Tanya off and on, and it's just hard. Like it's really hard to measure that engagement and measure that brand engagement. But there are ways to do it, and that would also be the other side of the intentional aspect. I heard a really great saying the other day. I saw it, and it was it kind of caught my attention. It was, don't try to spend your way out of a problem.
Yes.
I thought that was a very interesting kind of take. And I think a lot of agency owners, we do that. And we end up getting frustrated, right? And marketing, branding, swag, if not done with full clarity and expectations, can become a very, very frustrating endeavor for agency owners.
I wanted to share this one because it was such a cute idea. This was Post-it notes. And they decided to do every single page of the Post-it note with a different quotation. Like this one says, the move that you're afraid to make could be the one that changes everything. And then it has their Instagram handle on it. Except they placed that in the middle of the Post-it note, which makes the Post-it note completely unusable, right?
That's exactly what
They
I was
did
gonna
it on
say out
every
loud.
page and I don't even know how much it would cost to do Post-it notes with different quotes on every single page, right? But like this was a great idea, but it was not executed in a way that makes their swag usable. And I actually knew we were going to be doing this podcast, and so I have been keeping weird swag stuff specifically to break out for this. But like notepads, we had some Integra notepads a while back that the logo, whoever printed these, the logo was not scaled properly, like, right? But
It was gigantic.
It was a white
gigantic.
notepad and had this gigantic red Integra logo on it. It was too tall for the ratio width. And another thing that I keep somehow trying to get rid of, and they keep popping back up. But then we had these printed, and they have lines on them. They have our Integra logo printed in the proper ratio. It has IntegraPartnerNetwork.com on the bottom. If you have notepads printed, people use notepads with lines on them more than they use notepads without lines on them. Like, I love these from IA Blueprint. They have lines. They say independent agents do it better. And then they have the little IA Blueprint logo on them. We have our conference events at the San Luis Resort a lot of times. And like, if people leave these behind, I will grab these because I use them. So figure out like what you're going to do. You're going to do notepads, do really nice notepads, like with lines on them. People are going to use them. If they don't have lines on them, people throw them away.
Everything you saw today will be available on eBay in about 45 minutes.
Well, what I'm sitting here thinking is everyone is probably noticing that Mike and I are not doing any show and tell of swag. That is because we threw everything in the trash and we do not have any swag left. And so Tanya is the swag hoarder, evidently, and retains swag for both, let's call it use and ridicule. How about that?
Use and ridicule.
Does that sound good?
There we go. There we go. Make your brand memorable. Still one of my favorite business cards that he cannot believe that I probably still have this because we sold adjacent, like 4 or 5 years ago now, but like our adjacent business cards were very specifically designed. They're square. Shane didn't know why we needed square business cards, but like when you have a stack of business cards, this one sticks out, right? They were thicker. They don't bend. They're not easily, if you have a stack of them, you're going to find this one faster than you're going to find anything else. So,
yeah. Now,
we're going to talk about the refrigerator magnet.
I'm not big on refrigerator magnets unless there's a specific purpose for them.
Hey, you would, depending on your audience, back to that a little bit.
Absolutely.
If you are, for instance, we have an office in a retirement community area and we get asked for calendars all the time, like calendars that are magnetized to the refrigerator. Like, hey, it might work for you as an agency, depending on where you're at. Like, I think that's the whole point of this entire podcast.
I have the attorney that does the magnetic football schedule for LSU. I have the other attorney that does the magnetic baseball schedule for LSU. Those are on the side of my refrigerator. I'm not telling you that they're not. In East Texas, y'all are big basketball fans. Like, for Integra to do the magnetic Huntington basketball schedule, that makes perfect sense, right? Or it makes sense to do it, for the Lufkin office. I know it makes sense to do it in the Atlanta office or the Rabbits. Yes. Aren't you impressed that I know that they're the Rabbits? I mean, like if you're doing something that embraces who you are, what you represent, like we have our logo the Integra logo is in the middle of the basketball court at Huntington High School, which is where our home office is. It would make sense for us to do the magnetic basketball schedule to go on people's refrigerators. That all has a purpose, right? So figure out what it is that you love to do. And I think Adam Bamford, who has Bamford Insurance out in Cypress, Texas, he's the best at this. He is, is it not Cypress?
Say that again. Start over. Prosper, Texas.
Prosper. Okay. So, Adam Bamford Insurance in Prosper, Texas. He is a graduate of Baylor, right? The high school there in Prosper uses that great green color. It made sense for Adam to use his logo in that Baylor green, in the green of his high school, because that's his market. right? And
Yep.
he's done a great job. Now, did we tell Adam that he couldn't make the Integra logo be Baylor green? Yes, but he could create his own logo in that green, and it's worked really well for him.
Yeah, it's been an evolution of process for us as an organization, and we haven't always gotten it right. We've tried a lot of different things, and again, I really think that kind of back to, if you're not ready, you're not ready. It's okay. That's okay. I think where I made my mistake going back 25 years ago is we changed a lot of stuff, and we changed it again, and we changed it again. We never could get settled. We never could get settled on colors. We couldn't get settled on logos. Like, there was just a lot that we went through, and all of it centered around just kind of trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. Like, everybody else has this, we should do it too. And that's my place of experience that's what I'm speaking from, is making mistakes, right? I'm not saying, hey, don't try stuff. I'm just saying, hey, I made a lot of mistakes around this topic. And if I could go back and do it over again, it would be to be more intentional. Like Tanya's saying, match it with who we are and not do things that we weren't ready to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I was just going to make a similar point in that, we've spent a lot of time saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this if you're not ready. But the bottom line is Integra has done these things, and there's definitely been swings and misses, and Integra turned out fine. If you have a couple swings and misses at the front end of this while you're dialing it in, it's not the end of the world as long as you don't spend a ton of money. So do something, see how it goes, and adjust from there. But you can't just be, you can't just be stuck in fear that I'm going to make this mistake and it's going to go badly.
Yeah.
One of the greatest marketing errors that were ever made was the Savannah Bananas. And if you are familiar with the Savannah Bananas at all, they are an absolute sensation. Their CEO is a marketing genius. And when they ordered their first 10,000 t-shirts, they misspelled the word banana.
That one hurts.
That one hurt. 10,000 t-shirts of misspelling the word banana, right? And so they threw them away and ordered 10,000 more. And, looking back, he talks about, I should have kept those as like the limited edition. You only give them out every once in a while, the original Savannah Banana t-shirt that had the word banana spelled wrong. So, there's fear there that you can do things and it can go out, it can be wrong, right? It happens. I worked for a group of radio stations one time, and the t-shirt printer was used to the brand being a certain group of numbers, and we decided to use the same brand in the Keys, the Florida Keys market that we were using in Monroe, Louisiana, except the t-shirt printer thought that when we sent the logo in, it was a mistake because it had the wrong number on it. So they printed 1,000 t-shirts with the wrong radio station frequency on it because they thought we had made a mistake. Well, okay, so now we've got more t-shirts for the Monroe market, and they had to reprint the ones for the Florida Keys, right? So things happen. People make mistakes. Usually you can figure something out. But if you're printing swag, just let somebody else look at it. Say, hey, is there anything misspelled on this? Is this readable? I am obsessed with, people that decide to use weird, unique fonts and then Like when things get printed, it looks like it says something else than what you intended it to say. I'm going to leave us today with this quote from Bobby Unser. How you do anything is how you do everything.
At the Integra Partner Network, we understand that carrier access is the key to your agency's success. That's why Integra offers direct access to top-rated personal and commercial carriers, ensuring your agency thrives in today's challenging market. And with our comprehensive resources, profit sharing and bonus opportunities, technology and peer support, all while you retain 100% of your book with no penalties to exit. Integra is ready to empower you and your agency to find sustained growth. Find your way to Integra. Visit IntegraPartnerNetwork.com today. That's IntegraPartnerNetwork.com.